So, we've been talking on the podcast about building your child's confidence, and the best way to do that is to cultivate their natural talents and passions. KiwiCo engineering, science, and art projects are perfect. Look, you and I have creative kids who see patterns. They love to tinker with things, but they don't always get that opportunity at school. Imagine your child coming home excited to get a new fun project mailed directly to them. That's fun. And then they get the satisfaction of building and creating something they're in control of. KiwiCo has really cool projects for kids of all ages, so check them out at kiwico.com/calm. Whether it's building a robot or catapult or making your own soap, KiwiCo has projects that will get your kids using their hands and their creativity to make something they can be proud of. Get up to 50% off your first crate at kiwico.com, promo code CALM. That's up to 50% off your first crate at kiwico.com, promo code CALM.
Parles-tu français? Hablas español? Parli italiano? If you've used Babbel, you would. Babbel's conversation-based techniques teaches you useful words and phrases to get you speaking quickly about the things you actually talk about in the real world. With lessons handcrafted by over 200 language experts and voiced by real native speakers, Babbel is like having a private tutor in your pocket. Start speaking with Babbel today. Get up to 55% off your Babbel subscription right now at babbel.com/Wondery. Spelled BABBEL.com/Wondery. Rules and restrictions may apply.
So I just got off a Zoom presentation with this school where I trained the parents and teachers and gave them probably 20 to 25 strategies to help in the classroom and at home. And I thought, well, shoot, why don't I do like 5 of my favorite ideas? And so what's going to happen, though, I know in this podcast is I'll probably try to fit in like 7 or 8 of them. But let's do that. So that's what we're going to discuss on today's episode of the Calm Parenting Podcast. So welcome. This is Kirk Martin, founder of Celebrate Calm. You can find us in our big fall sale at celebratecalm.com. So let's just jump into this. And by the way, if you do ever want to do our Zoom training, it is so much less expensive than me coming in person because then I have to travel and it's many days and hotels and all of those things. Just reach out to Casey, Casey, at celebratecalm.com. And we are coming to Texas next March. So if you're interested, let us know because while we're there, let's meet you in person. It's really cool, lots of good energy, and you will definitely feel like you're not alone because you'll see all these other parents who have the same issues. So I'm going to try to do a bunch of different ideas for kids of all ages. So let's start with that. Just go through the ages. Toddler age kids. Please understand. Look, I've got a lot of guys who are always like, well, when's my toddler going to start to be responsible? I'm like, dude, I want you to write a job description for a toddler. And I do that with men. And then they come back and they're like, well, their job is to be curious and explore and make messes and ruin your agenda. Because everything every day is new to them. You can't put them on some timeline. And they're not going to think through things. And so their job is to make messes and to play a lot. Enjoy that time. They have the rest of their lives to be responsible and miserable like the rest of us. So, you know what I'm saying? Elementary school age, they're going to be impulsive. That's their job, is to see things and then try new things. That's how they learn. For those of you who are older, go back and watch the TV show Leave It to Beaver. It was the story of a kid who every single day did stupid stuff because he was curious about it and he wanted to try that. So one of the 2 things I'd say for as kids get a little bit older, one is teach them impulse control. Practice impulse control. Even making them wait 30 seconds or a minute before they do something. Delayed gratification. I've been through this a lot on different episodes, even with screens of like, hey, if you turn your screens off 3 minutes early tonight, I'll give you an additional 9 minutes on that tomorrow, because they're having to decide and saying, okay, can I delay gratification right now to get something more later? And then give them tools to succeed. And I'll show you what that looks like when I get to a classroom example. Middle school, please know this. Most middle school, if you're listening to this on a weekday evening, here's what your middle school boy especially is doing. Nothing. Not doing chores, not doing his homework. He's sitting in his hoodie sweatshirt, the same one he's worn for 18 straight days, probably playing video games, because that's what they do. Am I saying it's right? No, but it's pretty typical. It's a hibernation phase because middle school kids, they're not little kids anymore, but they're also not like juniors and seniors in high school. And they're dealing with all the hormones and it's overwhelming. And what I don't want you to do, I don't want all of your anxiety to dump on them of like, oh, you're capable of so much more if you would just apply yourself. Because what happens is you start to notice everything that they're not doing well, and that's what you focus on. And these kids will shut down even more, and you'll ruin your relationship. So for those kids, I really mean this. Listen to them. Just listen to them talk. A lot of it's going to be inane stuff that they're going through and all this drama, but listen to them and affirm every single good choice that you can find in them. And then, forgive me, shut your mouth. That's it for those kids. As kids get into high school, it's more about internal motivation. And again, same with the middle school kids. I want you to listen a lot, and I want you to be able to impart your wisdom. Here's one of my favorite ways to do it. Teenager comes and shares something. Usually we're like, oh, let me give you lecture 43B about how to choose good friends. Instead, I like to say, hey, you know what? I appreciate you sharing that with me. I've got to go to the garage. I'm going to go start on dinner. Hey, if you want to come grab me later, I'll be happy to share my thoughts with you. That way, if they do come to you, and just know they're going to come to you and say, okay, what are your stupid ideas? Don't get offended by that. Don't take it personally. Now they've opened their hearts and they've asked you for your wisdom. So, just know this, whether your child is a toddler or in the teen years, everything's new to them. They're just learning they're just doing this phase of their lives for the very first time. Just like maybe you're being a parent for the first time or the parent of 2 kids for the first time. Or maybe you're just turned 40 and now you're in a new stage of life. We're all just figuring this stuff out. So be patient with yourself and be patient with these kids. Okay. Second thing, and this is huge, we go through this oftentimes on 5 different steps to calm upset kids. But I just want to choose one of those steps because it's a really important concept. And parents, I was going to say mess this up all the time, and I didn't want to say it like that, but they do. And it's this, your kids, you have really intense kids. And so these are kids who get visions for things, right? Like, I want to build this, I want to do this. And they're very intense. And so when they mess up, guess what? Their reaction is very intense. And that's a good thing in life because people who do great things in life, they're usually pretty intense. And so that means you're going to have intense upside and intense downside. And so here's the setup. You have a child, loves to tinker with things, with things all day at school, probably not paying attention that much, but was just thinking about like, oh, when I get home, I'm going to build a catapult or a paper airplane. So they come home, they build their paper airplane, they throw it. Doesn't fly the way they expected. You know our kids are like this when things don't go their way. If they have a vision for something and it just doesn't, like when they're building with something, it's not going the right way. How many of your kids do this? They just will take all those Legos or building blocks and just crumble it and they'll knock it all down and you're like, why did you do that? You just spent like an hour building that and you just ruined it. That's the intensity. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It just is. That's the child that you have. And so they throw the airplane, it doesn't fly the right way. So they get up and what do? They're going to crumple up that paper. And they're going to start singing like, stupid airplane. Why can't I even build that? I'm stupid. And that really freaks you out. So most good parents will come in the room and say, oh, honey, that was a good airplane. And your child's going to look at you like, duh, if it were a good airplane, it would have flown the right way. And then you're going to get offended because they're being kind of disrespectful to you. But that's not what's really happening. You just kind of misread that a little bit. And that really sweet tone, I will tell you with the strong-willed kids, I know many of you have been taught that, like, well, we just need to be empathetic with our children. And that's a lovely thought. And do it with your compliant, easygoing kids all day long, and they'll cuddle with you, and it's wonderful. But your strong-willed kids will often hear that as you being condescending and weak, and you're not really getting them. So positive intensity. I walk into that room and say, oh man, if I were you, I'd be frustrated too. You were thinking about that airplane all day long. You come down home, you put a lot of time into building that, and then it doesn't fly right. Oh, that's frustrating. See, that intense validation is extremely calming because what the child hears is, oh, you get it. Because oftentimes we do with our kids what husbands often do with their wives. Oh, honey, it's no big deal. You know what? That was just an airplane. It's not a big deal. Oh, yeah, it is a big deal to me. And we misread that because it may not seem like a big deal to us, but it's a big deal to them. So when I validate with intensity and say, oh, I'd be frustrated too, watch what I didn't say. I didn't say, so if I were you, I'd punch a hole in the wall, I'd hit your sister. Because some of your kids do those things. And that's where they need the intensity. And some of your kids, to calm them down, they need intense physical sensory exercise. So usually I follow that. Oh, I'd be frustrated too with, hey, I'm going to go get a drink. I need to go to the bathroom. Because those were nice go-tos to get me out of the room. And I give my child space. They need space to wrestle with their emotions and frustration without us standing over them, watching them in the midst of their shame and embarrassment and all this emotion. And you're also not giving them eye contact by doing that. So I know that's not all 5 steps, but work on that. Practice that this week. It's really cool. Okay, number 3. This will be kind of a quick one. Most of you have heard this before, but if you haven't, try it sometime in the morning. Instead of, hey, come on, get up for school. It's time to go to that place where you're on red all the time and you don't always connect with kids your own age and you're bored, or you have dyslexia or dysgraphia, so school's extra hard, or you're bored there. Wait, can't you wait to go? Get up. And they don't want to go. And many of your kids have sensory issues. And so putting clothes on and brushing their teeth, it's all big hassle in the morning. So one of my favorite things ever is just to wake, especially younger kids, up and say, hey, bet you can't find where I hid your breakfast this morning. Hide something in the backyard. I don't care if they have to get up and forage for it. I love them foraging for food. Maybe going through an obstacle course, digging for it, climbing for it. Sensory kids, that's awesome before school. I don't care if you live somewhere like we do where it's going to be snowy this winter. Throw it out in the snow. Let them go out. They're not going to die. Okay. And so now guess what happens? Now their brain, first thing in the morning, is not focused on what they don't want to do and what they're not good at doing. Oh, now I've got a mission. I've got a challenge. I've got a problem solve. I've got to find that. And when they do, it's tactile. They find it. There's a sense of accomplishment. And they get to sit outside and eat their breakfast by themselves. Many of your kids would absolutely love that. And I'm not being funny with this, but you and your more compliant kids now get to do what? Sit inside and eat without the very strong-willed one complaining about what you fixed for breakfast and complaining about things. Everybody's happy. Is it the ideal Leave It to Beaver where Ward and June and 2 kids are going to sit at breakfast and start the day talking about gratitude and all the wonderful things? I love that ideal, but it's not usually happening with a strong-willed child. So you have to do what works for your family, not what everybody else is doing. And if foraging for food in the basement or backyard or someone else's backyard works, then by all means do it. Okay. What about the classroom? Let me give you a couple tools here that you can share with teachers. We know homework time can be incredibly stressful with our kids, so consider getting a tutor, an outside voice your kids will listen to with Wyzant. Wyzant is the nation's largest network of tutors, with more than 65,000 expert tutors across 350 subjects. Wyzant makes it easy to get personalized, one-on-one online support for your child that fits your busy schedule and budget. Wyzant makes it easy to find the right tutor. You can browse profiles and read reviews. And your first hour is protected by Wyzant's Good Fit Guarantee. No subscriptions, no costly packages, just the help you need when you need it. Help your child succeed in school and boost their confidence with Wyzant. Go to Wyzant.com, that's Wyzant.com, and book your first lesson today. And just for Calm Parenting Podcast listeners, use code PODCAST15 to enjoy $15 off your first lesson. Visit Wyzant.com and give your child the tools they need to thrive. Like a lot of young couples, our son and daughter in law both work multiple jobs and long hours. They love Hungry Root because it eliminates having to decide what to have for dinner and then making that stop at the grocery store when they're both tired and hungry. Hungry Root eliminates stress and it eliminates settling for expensive carryout and replaces that with healthy, delicious meals that only take minutes to prepare. Casey's more of a bison with tzatziki sauce or juicy chicken and rosemary potatoes guy, while our daughter-in-law loves the sesame ginger stir fry and cauliflower linguine. Plus, you can find smoothies, kid snacks, salad kits, and ready-to-eat meals that even picky kids love. We love Hungry Root, so go to hungryroot.com/calm and use code CALM to get 40% off your first box. Plus, get a free item in every box for life. That's hungryroot.com/calm, code CALM to get 40% off your first box. That's hungryroot.com/calm, code CALM. Okay, many of you have kids who struggle with impulse control and they're not going to sit all day. And many of us have kids who are read on that behavior chart. And all school becomes, and sometimes at home is, well, if you continue to do X, you're going to lose recess, you lose your special privileges. And then kids eventually just give up because they're never successful. And I mentioned before for elementary school kids especially, but all kids, I'd rather give them tools to be successful than just react to them messing up and then punishing them for failing. So I want to proactively give them tools to succeed. So here are a couple ideas, and even if you can't do these in the classroom, and I would share these with a child's teacher. It's one of the things I love about our training is we can kind of go seamlessly between the classroom and the home, and you can apply these in both places, and it's kind of cool to train both at the same time so everybody's on the same page. And so here's a cool one I really like. So as a teacher, let's say I'm a teacher and I'm going to set this up with a teacher that's next door, is I put some backpacks in the back of my room. And I'm going to have a backpack filled with a bunch of books. Mine's red. Miss Henderson's is blue. And so a child who's struggling during class, and it might be that they're just struggling to sit still. It might be that they're kind of, something happened with another kid or something that happened at home and they're just distracted or they're just kind of emotional that day. I can say, I might have a code word with them. I might have a secret signal with them that says, oh, I could really use your help right now. Could you do me a favor? Because our kids love helping other adults, just not us. And they like feeling like adults. They don't want to do kid stuff, but they'll do more kind of adult responsibilities. Hey, could you do me a favor? Could you grab the red backpack back there and take that to Miss Henderson's class because she's got something for you? And now this child gets up, goes, picks up the backpack. Well, carrying a backpack is really good for meeting sensory processing needs. And when you work on shoulder stability of carrying a backpack, it often helps with fine motor skills and the writing process. And many of your kids struggle with dysgraphia. So, hey, I could use your help. Get that red one. So he goes, grabs the red backpack. It's a little bit heavy, feels like a little bit of a challenge, carries it next door to Miss Henderson's class. And she's like, oh, thank you so much. Could you take the blue one back to your teacher? And the child comes right back. It takes less than a minute of movement. But now 2 adults in the middle of the day get to say, oh, thank you. You're a good helper. Sometimes that success, that sense of accomplishment of something I can do, because think what school is for a lot of your kids. It's just a long day when I'm being asked to do things that I'm not good at. So they begin to feel like failures. But this, oh, I'm good at carrying that backpack. You created a success and 2 teachers got to say, oh, good, thank you. You're a good helper. It helps. Let me fit in one more. So I have a child, many of us have kids who struggle with transition. So coming back into class, sometimes they might be a little bit too physical with other kids or they're not sitting down in time. So I like giving kids specific missions. And again, I pull them aside and I say, hey, listen, Henry, I need your help. When you come back in to class after lunch, after recess, and this is important because those are 2 times where there's not a lot of structure, it's disorganized, it's often loud, and many of your kids kind of get thrown off at recess and during cafeteria time, and so transitioning back into class can be tough. So I say, hey, when you come back in, picture these 3 things in your brain. There's research that says kids often remember things better when they picture things in their brains. Picture 1 paper towel, One water bottle, 3 paper towels, and the front row of desks in my classroom. Well, what does Henry know that I need him to do? I want you to come in and clean that row of desks. And here's the thing: I was very specific. I said one water bottle, 3 paper towels, not the whole roll. And you're just going to clean these desks up here. While the child is coming in, he's got a specific job while all the other kids are kind of getting settled in class. And now spraying it down and cleaning it. There's a sense of accomplishment. Remember Karate Kid, wax on and wax off while the child's cleaning that desk. He or she is moving across the midline of his or her body. That is really good for promoting cross-brain stimulation. And I just created a success, and I'm like, oh man, that was really helpful. Throw the paper towels away. Go sit down. We're going to start class. Those are just quick examples. Now here's number 5. I want you to observe your kids for the next week. Be a detective. Watch them. This is a key principle. Your kids will tell you everything they need by what they do. So we had these camps at our house where we had 1,500 kids in our home over the course of a decade, usually 10 to 15 kids at a time. Kids, strong-willed kids, kids on the spectrum, all different ages. And so many of the kids would come into our house, and we wanted them in our house because we could control the environment. And I would change plans on them at the last minute. Why? Because your kids aren't good at that. It messes with their sense of order. And then they'd start to get really upset. So we could teach them in the moment how to deal with that stress. And so I noticed a lot of them would come in and take the cushions off the sofa and lie down on the hard part of the sofa. And at first you're like, man, you're a weird little kid. What are you doing? But then I was a detective, and I'm like, okay, it tells me they like the sensory pressure of that. So if I can fit this in 3 different ways that we can help, things I got out of that. Okay, 1, sleep. They like confined places and sensory pressure. Put them in a sleeping bag on the floor. Better yet, in a sleeping bag in a closet if it's big enough. So many of your kids would love that. Why? It's weird. It feels safe. Put them in between the bed and the wall. Weighted vests, a dog, lots of heavy blankets on top of them. Let them sleep on the floor. Put a tent in the floor in their bedroom. Many of your kids will sleep in the tent because they're going to be like an Army Ranger. Try it sometime. Homework time. Instead of just sitting at the table of death, let them sit underneath the table. So you put a blanket over the kitchen table, you now have a fort. Forts are by nature cool to most kids. Now they can sit underneath there while it's dark. So you give them a flashlight or matches. That'll stimulate their brain. Don't do matches, but you can do the flashlight, and they can eat the chicken nuggets and mac and cheese that fell off from the table from the night before, because that's all they eat. So they're under there doing their homework in a weird, different way. Now, here's the calming tool, and this was really, really cool. So I started to develop this because I was like, okay, how can I use this to my advantage? When kids get really upset, I don't want a lot of talking, but I want them to do something very specific. And so we had a code word in our home, and I would practice this with kids when they would get really upset, and they got really upset at our house because we changed plans. They were with a bunch of other kids. I would say no to them. And so they get really upset, and I say, sofa, and they had a mission. Their job was to go into the living room, take the cushions off our sofa, and throw them on the floor. Did I ask them to place them nicely on the floor? No, because I knew that they wouldn't in that state. And we had an old sofa on purpose because we knew it was going to get ruined anyway. So they throw the cushions down, lie down on the hard part of the sofa. I would then walk in. I would put those cushions on top of them. Then I would sit on top of the cushions. I made sure I wasn't too heavy for them. I didn't hurt anyone. But here's what they liked. It was instantly calming for 3 reasons. Number 1, sensory pressure. That is very calming for a lot of your kids. They liked how that felt to be under there. I used to play this game with a lot of younger kids where I would get on the floor and roll like a steamroller, and they had to jump over the steamroller so they didn't get caught by it. But so many of the kids would let me catch their feet and fall down. Well, guess what? They loved the sensory pressure. Number 2, it was weird. Your kids often like weird stuff. It works for them because it's not the normal thing. Well, let's talk about different ways to calm down. No, it was weird and it was physical. And so The third thing was no eye contact. When I was sitting on top of the cushion, I wasn't staring in the eyes like, you need to explain yourself. Why did you get upset? Why did you say that to Joey? Why did you throw that in my house? No, I was sitting up there. There's no eye contact. That's way too intimidating and intense for a lot of your kids. So I'd be like, okay, so I'm curious, what was going on that caused you to get upset? And we would have a great talk while we did that. So, are those ideas a little bit weird? Yes. If you listen to our programs, I guarantee you, here's what you're going to find. The counterintuitive ideas that you would think wouldn't work will be the ones that work with your strong-willed kids. And that's what we do a lot of. But it's based a lot on observing your kids and working with their nature instead of against it. Instead of trying to make them be like everybody else, which they will never do, I say, okay, I get it. This is the way your brain works. This is the way you process information better. You have sensory processing needs. Okay, so why don't we do homework and calming and sleeping? Why don't we try getting you up in the morning and giving you successes in school, using that to our advantage? And that's why I encourage you, let your kids listen to the podcast. Let your kids listen to our programs, because I guarantee you they will say, that would work for me. Why haven't we ever done that? Why don't we get to do homework in weird, fun ways like that guy is talking about? And they'll begin to learn and use the language and say, Mom, my brain works best. It's not about managing my time. It's about managing my energy. Your kids are very bright. They will get this stuff. In fact, you don't even have to listen to our programs. Just let your kids do it and say, what do you want to change in the home? And I'm kind of only kidding there, but do that sometime. See what they come up with. So I hope you can use I hope you get to use all of those this week. Hey, if we can help you out, if you need help financially with any of our programs, be bold. Email Casey, C-A-S-E-Y, at celebratecalm.com, and we'll help you out with that. Moms and dads, so much respect and love for you. Keep enjoying your kids, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.